Islam Dwayne Bey. It is September 30th, 2020. Okay, Islam. So I'm at Whole Foods in Annapolis, Maryland. I'm going to start off. This is a documentation of some of my spiritual experiences. My name is Arrington-Bey. I'm UI. So I'm going to start off by talking about some of the things I've experienced. And I want to give, first of all, let me say this. Imani Gray-Bey, which is my son, and I, Rhonda Arrington-Bey, we reclaimed our Moorish American nationality in 2014. Black, Hispanic, African American, pale skin, white American, those are not nationalities. And if you are under that term of identification, then and you are you haven't reclaimed a nationality, then you are not properly naturalized, or you haven't been naturalized. So this is what I've learned, because those terms are not recognized according to constitutional law. The U.S.A. Constitution of 1787, which includes the 13th Amendment with 20 sections. Also, we as Moorish Americans have affirmed to uphold all four of Abraham Lincoln's proclamations. These are divine laws of freedom. So I must say that, because we as Moorish Americans, I'm Rhonda Arrington-Bey, have been naturalized under the laws of this land of freedom. Okay, so because this is in connection to my spiritual documentation in reference to the code of telepathy. And being naturalized, that means as a natural divine being. So I'm not identified as an animal, a beast, all right, because this is important. Property. So because when you're dealing with a telepathic code that not only affects your mind and give you abilities, but also your DNA, okay, your DNA, and that telepathic code is not only given to you and mixed in with your DNA, which you're supposed to be a human, but also the animal. So when you're dealing with that type of science where they can mix different forms of a live code, a live science with DNA, that and you start off by injecting this form of a code into the fetus, okay, of a child, the fetus of a pregnant woman, then you can see why you might have a population of people who behave as animals, okay, because you don't know when you have those who have not affirm or taken an oath to uphold divine laws of freedom. So they themselves do not respect life, natural beings, Mother Earth, the universe. If they don't respect natural life, these divine laws of freedom, and they are in a form of power and education to distribute a science to the population, okay, what would stop them from mixing whatever they want in a science, a telepathic code that causes masses to be able to read thoughts, and not only that, inject a unborn fetus, a child, a fetus that's in a pregnant woman, with something else mixed with whatever it is inside that code. It's a live code. You don't know what they put in it. In that it's a spirit. So so I want to say that, because this is going to get to, so I'm at 4 minutes. This is going to get to my testimony as a natural, divine, celestial being. I'm not an animal, I'm not a beast, and I'm not property, okay? And we as Moorish Americans, Imani Gray-Bey and I, Rhonda Arrington-Bey, reject the code of telepathy, okay? We don't have it. It's obviously there are different forms of it, okay? So hold on, I'm in Annapolis, Maryland, and a lot of times when you haven't taken an oath or affirmed up whole constitutional laws, your tax money could be used for anything. So I would see car accidents come on our path like it was nothing, or hear the ambulance trucks go back and forth, because they don't care. If you have not affirmed to uphold constitutional laws, then you're going to use those that you see as a slave or identified as property, identified and classified as an animal. You're not going to give them respect. You're going to see them they property. You're just going to do what you need to do, use them, give them some form of trade so they can continue this matrix of feeding this matrix, this energy of slavery, bondage. Okay, they might be able to get a house. They might even make millions, but they are still under some form of bondage where they can't do but so much. They would never be as free. They would never be free like a Moor that has actually been naturalized and have reclaimed all aspects as much as possible of freedom, whether it's the mental state of mind, connecting to your ancestors, claiming your nationality. There's many branches of freedom. So this is all in connection to that telepathic code. So we are not the same. So there is definitely a jurisdiction that exists that has masses of people in bondage, and a lot of them are literally unnatural in spirit, and you can tell they are behaving they're unnatural in spirit because the way they behave. And this is also in connection to illegal immigration, illegal marriages. When you're dealing with those that have not taken oath or affirmed uphold constitutional law, they can be used to do anything. They can be used as a terrorist, to stalk, but yet they have the ability to send sharp pains. They have the ability to invade your mind, invade your dreams. They have the ability to spread diseases, viruses, control insects. But yet, so that they are literally an unclean laboratory experiment that is released in a population. Okay? And so you have two jurisdictions on this, not just here in this landmass, but it's obviously in many parts of the earth. So I wanted to say that's a long story short. And also I'm going to give testimony about the United States Navy and Army that have not been naturalized under these divine laws of freedom. That means they haven't taken an oath or affirmed uphold constitutional laws of 1787, which include the 13th Amendment, 20 sections, and all 4 of Abraham Lincoln's proclamations. Because when you are in a form of authority where you're supposed to be a protectorate of true American citizens as they proclaim their actual freedom, but you have not yourself done the process or implement the process of upholding that which many have died and bled for on this landmass, you're not going to respect it. So therefore, that leaves you vulnerable to be used by a foreign entity. Okay? Not only that, so within maybe the Navy, the Army, the Marines, whatever, then you have those that have the telepathic code, that they use the same telepathic code, because many people that join the military don't have money. Okay, they don't have money. They come from what you want to say. They're not wealthy. You understand? So they're not wealthy. So if you can see how the telepathic code can be in different forms, okay, different forms. So you have different strands of it, okay, and you can see how they can actually give those that are considered low income, middle class income, a form or a strand of the telepathic code, whether they're born with it, that's also, or whether they got it after they were born, that's also mixed with, it could be some form of a beast, it could be any type of animal, any type of unnatural spirit mixing in where with that telepathic strand that they implement in that fetus or after they were born in the telepathic code. Okay, so this is the connection to that which I see why some of those that are implied to be connected to the United States Navy, Army, Marines, and those who are, why they behave odd, and some would say abusive, Islam, whether they're raping, molesting, whatever. And so And once again, getting back. So if you haven't taken the oath or affirmed to uphold constitutional laws, then you will be involved in illegal immigration, marrying. You will stalk if you can, spiritually, mentally. You will rape if you can, spiritually, mentally, and even on the physical plane. Now you have so many cases in the United States military, too many of the military men and women, predominantly women, being raped and killed. There are soldiers in the military, in the United States military, and so now you have so many cases are coming up where these women, they cannot even join the military to defend supposedly their country without having a worry that their own other soldiers will rape them, and not only rape them but kill them. Why? Because they're among a different form of species, something else that they are among, and there's a false reality that they have, that there's some form of rule they got, and the government, their government, not ours, their government have control over this species of animals, beasts, unnatural spirits, which are unclean. So if you are considered clean in spirit and you've been naturalized, or if either or, then I'm not talking about you, because this is definitely an unclean spirit I'm talking about. Also, when you haven't been naturalized to uphold constitutional law, you are vulnerable to be involved in drug dealing, drug selling, prostitution, sex trafficking, illegal organ selling. You understand? So this is all connected to upholding divine laws of freedom. Okay? So you also will be involved in connection to terrorism. It could be creating a false reality about an Arab or Middle Eastern that practice another form of Islam that as Moorish Americans we don't practice, but it could be considered extremist Islamic group, just so you can hide what's really going on. An animal, a beast, or some unnatural spirit stalking and trying to amalgamate, rape, and dealing and have some form of slave breeding process with natural, clean, divine celestial beings, such as myself, Rhonda Arrington-Bey and Imani-Gray-Bey, and many Moorish Americans, Islam. Okay, so that's one of the major issues in the United States jurisdiction that consists of obviously a cesspool of unclean spirits. Not only that, it's already been documented in that when I speak of the United States jurisdiction, doesn't mean just in this landmass. This is also in South America and other places where they have distribute this strand. Okay, it could be in the continent of Africa, definitely, because they're going to start distributing this strand of the telepathic code in those poor, impoverished third world countries first, and they've been doing it. I don't have the code. Imani don't have the code. Okay, so that lets me know they started doing distributing the coronavirus vaccine and the impoverished country, trying it out, experimenting with it, and the third world impoverished countries first, like India, Mexico, different parts of South America, or all over South America, continent of Africa. They started there first, and then they gradually brought it over here. Okay, now they're talking about the vaccine of the coronavirus here. They did the exact same thing with this strand, okay, where they have mixed a live strand of the telepathic code with animals, beasts, and then deposited or implemented it inside fetuses of pregnant women to create a whole species of unclean spirit beings that look to be somewhat human, but you can tell something wrong with them because of how they behave, how they act. I can't tell you how many times so many so-called African American or Black American or whatever keep running around saying brother. At American Extended Stay, Dwayne Bey, this is dealing with spirituality, dealing with spirit, unclean spirit. So I was like, why are these males and females, I keep saying brother, and then I'm having to deal not with only them but Spanish speaking, Mexican, whatever, talking around our room at American Extended Stay in Annapolis, Maryland, saying I love you, we paid, let us help you. I hear them say Burger King. What else I hear them say? The military. I'm in a shower. Sound like a Black Negro female accent, also Spanish speaking, saying let us help you, I love you, literally like an animal outside American Extended, at American Extended Stay. Because you dealing, it's not literally it like as an animal, like a recording, like a robot. Now you already know we're among a species of animals or humanoids that can control technology with their mind, because they have they have put a live virus and created a whole new species of being, and that they are identified and classified as animals, identified and classified as property, not even human. So if they are not considered human, not only that, infested, diseased, mentally unstable, and they're in the population, they're not going to respect how they should not send sharp pains. How can you civilize something that you have invaded or changed their whole DNA to be an animal? You can't civilize an animal. A lion is nature. A lion is nature, okay? It's to kill and to hunt deer or elk, or its nature is a carnivore, okay? You put the lion, you might be able to contain it, okay? You get a lion, contain it, put it in a zoo, okay? But you let the lion, but when you put that elk or something to go to run in front of it, its natural instinct is to run after that animal because it's prey. That animal the lion is a predator, the elk, the deer, whatever it is, it's prey, it's a carnivore. So you cannot civilize an animal or a species of being where they have manipulated their DNA to an extent where they are literally animals and beasts in mentality. And so that is what we are among. And this is not just, so you're dealing with the pale skin as well, because see, one of the things I realized, Dwayne Bey, in slavery and bondage, remember, when you're trying to implement bondage and slavery, okay, and this is not just here, you're not going to stop those that are unclean in spirit, don't have respect for divine laws of freedom. They're not going to stop at one stereotype, or not stereotype, physiology. So you definitely, you already know they're going to aim at that which they consider the undesirable, the Black, the Negro, the African American. They're going to give that strand of the telepathic code that is whatever else, anything but what is natural to them, okay? They're going to definitely do it, just like they have done in many cases, whether it's dealing with education, whether it's dealing with education, knowledge of food, history. So definitely they're going to, because they're creating a whole new species of being, okay? But also remember, the pale skin were the first slaves on this landmass. So they're going to definitely give it to that poor, that which is that is not considered higher class, or the 1%, to that pale skin. That explains a lot of their behavior, because you're literally dealing with the animal. Also, they're going to, and definitely I already went over the third world countries, and whether it's the continent of Africa, South America, the continent, the country of India. It could be what, you know, is they're going to start there first to experiment, and then they eventually bring it to the industrialized countries. So in this country, or on this landmass, the United States jurisdiction is not considered to even be healthy according to 34 other countries. So if you the statistics, too many statistics show the United States is suffering in physical health, mental health, and other forms, so that it's physical and mental health. So and the first thing I realized that this jurisdiction does is literally go to the classic book explanation of what's going on with a person, instead of speaking about the spiritual aspect of truth of what's going on in reference to these unclean spirits that are invading the mind, invading the sheaths of the body, sending sharp pains, invading dreams, and causing illnesses. Okay, so they'll bring up schizophrenia because they don't want the truth to be known. Diabetes, they don't want you to know that they can program you to eat too much sweets, program you, okay, to eat not what you need to eat in correlation to your body. They'll bring up alcoholism. It must be genetic. Schizophrenia must be is hereditary. You know, whatever they can do to disguise or not explain or not demonstrate truth of what's really going on about this programming they have done. And so then they'll put, for instance, here's a great example of a fasting. Then they'll have one of these unclean animal spirits, black, Negro, female, and male, African American. These are unclean. If you're not, and once again, I'm going to say this and pause. If you're not considered unclean in spirit and you're not a part of this, and you know, I'm not talking about you, okay? Because I don't put everyone in a hole. Okay, I'm definitely dealing with spirit and in reference to what I'm talking about right now, and that is the truth. So no one it's not, and it's important to say that because there's always a not all you have clean and unclean spirits in all ethnicities, you want to say. So here's a perfect example. Okay. So you might have the black, Negro, African American, male and female marching or talking about how in our communities, the physical health of us have been is not as up to par as that when in the white Americans. We're not eating the way we should. We're not. We have little resources compared to them. You know, things of that nature, because they're just implementing and being used to further this falsity, this matrix of what's really going on. And 9 times out of 10, not all the time, I should say too many times, is one of these species that they have put in front of that community in that jurisdiction to speak that way, to demonstrate or represent that form of matrix, because they're dealing with a program, a falsity of reality to present on TV or wherever else to the community. One of the things I realized, Dwayne Arrington-Bey, in reference to mental engagement and acts of terrorism dealing with spirits and unclean spirits. So what they can do, I remember so many times I would see, now I'm just giving you a testimony, it's so interesting, because a black Negro spirit, I rarely see pale skins mental engage. It's literally a Spanish speaking or a black African male or female spirit mentally engaged, where they are trying to engage forcefully my whole sheet. And so what they're trying to do is implement a form of they're trying to make it a normality to engage with your mental space, your sheaths of your body. okay? And then all the while, somebody, while I'm walking, would say that's her husband, or he loves her, okay? Now, this is also going on at American Extended Stay, okay? So now this is an animal beast thought process. So you have these animal beasts or unclean spirits, literally force mental engaging, okay? And Spanish speaking, mainly those are the two that I've seen, or that brown skin engaging. But out of those two, I would say the predominantly be the black Negro African American male, force mental engaging. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is they have literally invaded the sheath, okay? And the way I can tell is by shining my light and I see it, or a female. Because so if you don't see them as a threat, and you look at the black Negro African American is the same as you, that is unclean in spirit, then when they engage and they trying to make their presence within your sheath a normality, that frequency that you should be having to kill it and destroy any unclean spirit is not there, okay? So because once again, they know that they are something else. They know that they are in a thought process, and that goes with that which is Spanish speaking as well, okay? Or but once again, I rarely have had this situation happen with the pale skin. But the pale skin that is unclean in spirit, okay, I'm referring to unclean spirits now, they'll be out around, okay, looking and walking with their cell phone, laughing, and you could tell, or walking their dogs. These are unclean spirits. Not all of them are unclean that do this, but these are unclean spirits, and they know what's going on, encouraging it. Because remember, they are of something else. They have that same strand, that low level strand of the telepathic code as well, and a lot of them were born with it, all right? Because they did not just try to enslave one group. They try and enslave masses of people, okay? Masses. And you could, and it's so bad that the United States health is bad. It's so low. Physical and mental health is so low because they don't care. Because they know they have created animals, beasts. They know that their government has them classified, identified as